Story 1. This year, I started eating until I'm full and then stopping. Sometimes I only eat half my plate. I've become very aware of how hungry I actually am, instead of mindlessly eating food. Then, I put the leftovers in the refrigerator and tell myself that I'm allowed to eat that extra food later today or for lunch tomorrow when I'm hungry again. It's amazing how many extra calories we consume. From that one change, I've lost 20 pounds. Story 2. Use a total daily energy expenditure calculator to determine your maintenance calories. Then subtract 500 or 1,000 from that and adhere to it. A 500-calorie deficit daily results in approximately 1 pound of weight loss per week. Doubling that to 1,000 calories leads to roughly 2 pounds of weight loss. Any deficit greater than 1,000 calories approaches unhealthy weight loss. After losing 10 or 15 pounds, run the calculator again to adjust for weight loss, as your body will burn fewer calories as you become lighter. Story 3. I have lost 30 pounds in the last 6 months. My plan is less about losing weight and more about being an active person with healthy habits. Weight loss is a side effect, and my mental health is significantly better as a result. It is a journey with easy days and hard days, but most importantly, I am learning to be kind to myself when I backslide on any of these mental health strategies: reducing stress, prioritizing sleep and rest, learning to regulate my emotions using dialectical behavior therapy skills, learning to not mistake boredom for hunger, avoiding media that consistently makes me feel bad about my body, physical activities, exercising regularly at the capacity I have on any given day, having active rest days, not weighing myself daily, nutrition habits, not dining out more than twice a month, switching my morning coffee to a protein shake with instant coffee, eating more vegetables, serving myself smaller portions, stopping when I feel full. Story 4. My daughter told me she was pregnant, and I realized that if my weight didn't decrease, I would be a sidelined grandmother. So I cut out junk food, started to exercise, and began therapy. Story 5. Giving up alcohol was the first step. I felt as if I had more energy to lead a more active lifestyle. Story 6. Caloric restriction, which involves eating 30% less and mostly cutting out foods that are high in fat, led to weight loss from 106 kilograms to 88 kilograms. Story 7. Consistency is key. I went to the gym even if it was only for 10 to 15 minutes at first. Preparing for the day the night before helped eliminate many excuses. Story 8. Mentally, I realized that if I didn't make a change, I would face serious health issues. I reached nearly 300 pounds. My heart health was poor, my blood pressure was high, and I was pre-diabetic. I gradually introduced movement and added one healthy food item to my daily meals. I found activities I enjoyed. I walked frequently, even in place. Started slowly, but now I have lost 100 pounds. I practice multiple martial arts, I have gained muscle, and I can move in ways I couldn't just a few years ago. It's worth it. Start small and build on what works. Story 9. Colon cancer and the bowel resection surgery were part of my treatment. Now, I have to restrict my diet to avoid frequent bathroom visits, and I have managed to lose weight. I was 205 pounds and got down to 140 because not eating was the only way to maintain my job. The good news is I have been denied disability benefits twice and will be going in front of a judge next month, where I will likely be denied again. It seems I will be on this restrictive diet indefinitely. Story 10. I finally stopped taking an Invega injection, and my hunger drastically decreased, while my testosterone levels rose. The reduction in food cravings and the decrease in excessive estrogen from certain antipsychotics can make a significant difference. Story 11. I lost about 80 pounds over 2 years. I had stalled around the 50-pound mark, so I started walking a few miles uphill each day and doing yoga in the morning. I worked on my feet all day, so I didn't think it would make a difference, but it really did. I also made incremental changes to my diet, gradually reducing the foods I loved to make it feel more manageable. Story 12. For me, it was about getting a remote personal trainer. I tend to make excuses not to go to the gym, so finding someone who works with me virtually forced me to be consistent with my sessions. There are no excuses like being too tired, bad weather, or traffic because they can work with me from home. They are also extremely helpful with my nutrition, which is something I find tedious to manage on my own. I prefer simplicity, and my trainer understands that. They have helped me look and feel amazing. I highly recommend this option for anyone who is busy but wants to be healthy. Story 13. No rice or pasta unless it is an occasion. I am working out twice a day and have also started distance running. I am training for a half marathon to hold myself accountable. Getting enough sleep has generally made me look less puffy. Story 14. Hitting rock bottom emotionally. I had a crush on a girl. I went out with her and some friends, but she was flirting with a very handsome guy, and I felt jealous. I confessed my feelings the next day, but I was rejected. I went home devastated and, after days of alternating self-hatred and self-pity, decided to examine my emotions and ask myself some hard questions. I realized that I hadn't worked on myself at all. I didn't care about what I ate, I did no physical activity, I had no sense of fashion, and I had very little social life, yet I felt entitled to the affections of someone who did. After that, I made it my mission to live a life without double standards, to work on myself, and to become the best version of myself I could be. I went from 320 pounds to 250 at 6 feet 3 inches tall, built some muscle at the gym, started researching fashion and dressing nicely. I read some good self-help books and began seeing a therapist. If my past self from a year ago could see me now, they wouldn't even recognize themselves. Sometimes, it takes a shock to the system to shake you out of a rut and take charge of your life. Story 15. There is only one way to do it without medication, which is also perfectly fine. Eat less and move more. That is it. Story 16. Learning macros and the basics of counting calories, and applying that to my level of exercise throughout the week. Story 17. Depression. My last episode lasted for 6 months, and since I could barely eat or take care of myself, I lost 45 pounds, going from 160 pounds to 115 pounds. Story 18. I realized I didn't want to end up always sick and in pain like my grandparents. I started seeing a dietitian weekly and found a small gym community that I love, quite by accident. Story 19. Cardio. I started running daily and, combined with dieting and reducing soda intake, I was able to lose 40 pounds in 2 months and kept it off. Story 20. Eat primarily fruits and vegetables, with occasional lean protein like chicken. Limit sugars and incorporate movement into your routine. Walking is free and has incredible benefits. Bodyweight workouts can also help you lose weight, and your body and brain, including sleep quality, will thank you. Remember to drink plenty of water. Story 21. I changed my diet and became conscious of everything that went into my body, focusing on quality ingredients and portion sizes. I never counted calories, and I practiced intermittent fasting, having breakfast, lunch, and dinner with nothing in between. I lost 15 kilograms in a year and a half. Good luck. Story 22. I stopped consuming sugar and started exercising regularly. I have lost 28 kilograms since September last year. I got a smartwatch that tracks my activity, and I began both walking and riding an exercise bike. I worked up to a fast walk of 4 miles, averaging 14 to 15 minutes per mile, followed by over half an hour of riding at around 20 miles per hour. I try to sleep well, as you can lose weight while sleeping, provided you have burned some calories. I purchased a set of scales that show the calories needed to maintain my weight and limit my food intake to that amount. Coupled with exercise, my weight has dropped. The motivating factor was my blood pressure, which is now optimal, and I am pleased to say, I aim to reach 85 kilograms and maintain that weight. Story 23. Ridiculous amounts of cardio that I begrudgingly hated, which for me was a huge deal of not wanting to waste calories. As a result, my diet improved significantly. Story 24. Quitting alcohol. I went through rehabilitation and am approaching 6 years of sobriety. I also stopped consuming soda and nearly all sugar. I prepare my meals at home and rarely eat out. I started working out every other day. I am 6 feet tall, and when I entered rehabilitation, I weighed around 255 pounds. Today, I weighed myself at the gym and am down to 167 pounds. My pants size has changed from a 36 waist to a 30. Story 25. I've lost 44 pounds from virtual reality boxing and using a desk treadmill. I focus on workouts that are enjoyable or that I can do while working. Additionally, snacking on healthy food throughout the day has helped me manage binge eating. Story 26. I stopped caring about what I ate, skipping lunch and sometimes breakfast, and working hard without worrying about material things like weight. Story 27. I hired a new personal trainer and will focus 95% on my diet plan. I will do high-intensity interval training 4 times a week and drink more water. Story 28. I gained weight during pregnancy, and I was discouraged from losing weight until I finished breastfeeding. I think that the enforced waiting period helped, as I was frustrated and ended up moving my feet more than my fork. Story 29. I learned how metabolism works. I ate 5 times a day and lost about 40 pounds in 4 months. I haven't gained any weight back, even though I am not as strict with my diet as I was then. Of course, what you eat also matters. Understanding metabolism was essential for me. Story 30. Stress, Wellbutrin, and the disordered eating habits that I still have from my past eating disorder. Story 31. I got dumped and was suddenly able to direct all the energy I had been spending trying to keep him happy into getting fit and eating well. I jokingly refer to losing 80 kilograms of dead weight. However, I did lose around 15 kilograms over a couple of years. While it's not a lot, it made a difference in how I felt about myself. Story 32. I quit drinking soda a year and a half ago, and without any other changes, I reduced my weight from 270 pounds to about 245 pounds. If I had exercised more, I would have probably lost that weight and more at a faster rate. Story 33. I have stopped binge eating and maintained a calorie deficit. I do weight training 3 days a week and take 2 10-kilometer walks each week, averaging between 13,000 and 18,000 steps daily. I have cut out alcohol and limited myself to about 7 cheat days since the start of January. I have lost 11 pounds, reduced a significant amount of body fat, and built some muscle. Story 34. I got a dog who has arthritis, and so do I. We both need exercise because it lowers our overall pain levels and keeps us moving. We started out slow, walking 1 to 3 miles a day now. I've lost 40 pounds. After I began moving daily, it became much easier. I also cut out most junk food. Since turning 40, it seems like all of this has gotten easier. Now I am stacking healthy habits consistently. Story 35. Water fasting can be potentially dangerous, but ultimately helped me lose 50 pounds in 40 days. I was obese to begin with, so a fasting regimen did not cause noticeable issues. It changed my life. Story 36. Just being stable and good in your life makes it much easier to get motivated for that or anything else. Story 37. 4-hour body slow carb diet. Essentially, it combines a ketogenic approach with complex carbohydrates like black beans. It doesn't work for everyone, but I achieved amazing results. It's been 15 years and I still eat a slow carb breakfast 5 days a week, with 1 cheat day and 1 fast day. Story 38. I am running and walking many miles each week, essentially being active every day. I am eating significantly less than I used to. I have been avoiding many places, which has made it easier to stop eating unhealthy food. I also drink a lot of coffee instead of snacking, and I vape, which is not necessarily healthier. However, I have lost about 42 pounds in 18 months, and by running at least 4 times a week, I am currently maintaining my weight loss. Story 39. The pandemic lockdown changed everything. Working from home eliminated the stress of long commutes and the need to pretend I enjoyed being in the office. I used to snack out of stress at work. During the lockdown, I was satisfied with just 1 full meal and 1 snack each day. I also slept better, which allowed me to wake up early and bike almost every day. I went from over 235 pounds down to 213 pounds. Story 40. At the beginning of February, I caught the flu and did not eat for 5 days. Since then, I have focused on portion control and avoided sitting on the couch snacking. I have eliminated soda from my diet and now drink water. I walk between 1 and 3 miles daily, sometimes outside and sometimes on a treadmill. I have lost 22 pounds from February 5th to March 28th. Story 41. Honestly, it's willpower. I know people don't like to hear that, but when I buckle down and avoid sugar, it comes off pretty easily, even without much exercise. When I give in to my urges for sweets, carbohydrates, and fast food, it comes back on. Story 42. I focused on a calorie deficit and practiced intermittent fasting with 2 meals a day. It has been working well for me. Story 43. Last summer, for no specific reason, I decided to eat a protein bar in the morning and didn't get hungry again until dinner. I decided to do the same the next day, and it became a habit. I did not do this to lose weight, but over the next 12 weeks, I lost 38 pounds. I have since taken off 7 more pounds. I eat well, including lots of fresh vegetables and lean meats, the rest of the time and have not gained any weight back. I'm not sure if the bars had anything to do with it, but I am enjoying being much smaller. Story 44. I carefully counted calories, entering a dangerous deficit for a few months. I lost 60 pounds, going from 219 to 159 in about 6 months. I don't regret how I approached it, but I would do it differently if I ever needed to again. Story 45. Honestly, I was too lazy to measure and count calories, but I started eating less and cut out all sugary snacks and drinks. I drank more water, went to the gym and practiced yoga, and lost a lot of weight. Story 46. A plant-based diet over 2 years, followed by daily cardio towards the end, is beneficial. After that, it is important to focus on consistency and maintaining good habits. Allow yourself the space to make mistakes and be kind to yourself. If you have a bad day, pick yourself up and start fresh the next day. Story 47. The 2 main things for me are taking milk out of coffee and living somewhere where I can walk to places instead of driving. Story 48. I went to the doctor for an unrelated issue. He asked how much I weighed and I didn't know, so he put me on the scale. I was not pleased with the number it showed. I have been counting calories since the new year, and at the time of writing, I have lost 20 kilograms. I plan to maintain a calorie deficit for another year or so, but my relationship with food is difficult. I will have to count calories for the rest of my life if I do not want to become obese again. Story 49. 1. Diversify meals. Aim for 3 food groups at meals and 2 at snacks. It makes a significant difference in managing hunger. The more whole foods and plant-based options you incorporate, the better, or follow any specific diet your doctor recommends. Eat regularly. While fasting works for some, if you tend to skip meals and then binge, it's essential to establish a consistent eating routine. Log everything. It's important. Exercise daily. Seek therapy to break emotional habits. I'm not sure what number 6 is. I just wanted to create a 6-step program. Story 50. Cutting out junk and fried food, balancing the diet, eating protein-rich meals, and working out 3 to 5 days a week, including weight training and cardio sports. Story 51. Getting the right combination of medications to manage my depression and attention deficit/hyperactivity disorder has been important. Emotional eating and inactivity were significant challenges before that. I still have a long way to go, but for the first time in years, I am trending in the right direction, down 30 pounds in the last 6 months. Story 52. Eating in a caloric deficit. Calculate your total daily energy expenditure, TDEE, using an online calculator, and eat 300 to 500 calories below that. Consistently exercise and build good habits. You don't have to do specific fat-burning exercises. Simply walk more. If you currently take 7,000 steps a day, aim for 12,000 steps. Be consistent. Restrictive diets are difficult to maintain. If you eat high-fiber and high-protein meals, you'll feel fuller for longer. Explore different forms of exercise. If you don't enjoy it, find another option. Avoid relying on fat burners. Their effectiveness is uncertain. They may work for some, but it's best to focus on sustainable habits. Replace soft drinks with diet options or, better yet, water. Consider almond milk instead of whole milk, and try to avoid processed foods. Prioritize consistent sleep. Exercise will boost your endorphins, making you happier. If possible, try to avoid alcohol as it adds empty calories. Don't be hard on yourself if you have a bad day and struggle to maintain good habits. Just focus on the next day and getting back on track. Story 53. I am using Ozempic and the Noom app to monitor the quality and quantity of food I consume. I am also addressing emotional triggers that lead to eating, such as pain and boredom. Story 54. Tirzepatide weekly injections are compounded because they are expensive from Eli Lilly as Zepbound. I no longer have sleep apnea and have enough energy to go to the gym regularly. Story 55. Tracking my calories and meal prepping is helpful. It's surprising to see how much sauces and oils can add up if not measured. Meal prepping makes it easier to avoid grabbing unhealthy options at work and is more cost-effective. I do not restrict myself to specific food types. I simply track my calories. I have tried the ketogenic diet and did lose weight, but I gained it back when I attempted to eat normally. I cannot follow a low-carb diet as it makes me feel miserable and tired. Story 56. I refused to spend money on new pants, so I focused on calories and working out, which helped me lose 20 pounds. Story 57. Calorie counting and reducing sugary treats to once or twice a week helped me lose 40 pounds and improve my polycystic ovary syndrome. I want to share this because there is a lot of misinformation online about having to follow a ketogenic diet, restrict carbohydrates severely, take weight loss medication, or consume numerous supplements to lose weight. The discussions in online forums contributed to my worst health anxiety experience. Story 58. I stopped drinking alcohol and sugary sodas. I also started training in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I was never very big, just a bit overweight, but I'm in much better shape now. Story 59. I still have a long way to go, but getting sober has helped. I have lost almost 20 pounds since I quit drinking, with basically no other changes in my daily life. Story 60. I did two things. First, I needed to save money, so I started meal prepping an economical diet. Second, I found a reliable gym buddy who kept me accountable. Story 61. I stopped dieting and just ate what I wanted. I have lost 15 pounds since last December. It doesn't seem like much, but when I was on a diet, I couldn't even lose 5 pounds. Story 62. Turning exercise into something that I actually enjoy, cutting out unhealthy food, and substituting it with fruits or more filling foods while drinking plenty of water has been beneficial. I often hear people say that it is difficult to lose weight, and I have said the same. However, since I stopped searching for snacks hidden in the house and started exercising, such as playing badminton or walking outside when I am bored, I have gradually lost weight. I still eat junk food occasionally, but I balance it by eating more nutritious foods in my next meal. Story 63. A calorie deficit is required. I enjoy eating, so the easiest way was to consume lean meats, eggs, fruits, and vegetables. I could eat as much as I wanted, with the only limit being that I couldn't have more than one avocado a day. It was virtually impossible for me to overeat until I reached a healthy weight. Story 64. The short answer is no, but probably any calorie intake and calorie expenditure program will work. It's about math and determination. Don't expect to eat the same way ever again. You need to change your entire attitude and mindset regarding food. The right program will help you achieve that, I believe. Story 65. I have been walking over 10,000 steps almost regularly. My weight loss has stopped because I have been consuming sweet foods for almost a month. However, I will return to portion control starting in April. Story 66. I believe we all understand that we need to reduce calorie intake to lose weight. But how can we do this without feeling hungry? I constantly think about food throughout the day. Whenever I attempt a small calorie deficit, I find myself obsessing over food. Story 67. I went through a difficult breakup and restricted my eating for several months, consuming less than 1,200 calories per day. I went from 93 kilograms to 61 kilograms. Story 68. I participated in a weight management program for a few months. One of my issues is that I often don't eat enough food. The food diary helps, and I enjoy getting creative with points. What I liked about the program is that you can eat anything you want, but it's about portion control. I wouldn't join again because I know they can be detrimental, but I ate a lot of healthy frozen meals to learn portion control. At first, it was hard, but it changed how much I need to eat to feel full. The program taught me a lot about what makes something high in calories. For example, if I eat homemade vegetable soup, I know it's essentially 0 points, while a bagel with cream cheese is really high in calories, which I wouldn't have thought before. I have a hard time maintaining a food journal, but it does help. I also dislike exercise, partly because I suffer from anxiety, and the feeling of exercising is quite similar to anxiety for me. However, I truly believe that just walking as a form of exercise is really helpful. I used to walk uphill because it's considered high impact, allowing you to do less of it. Story 69. I have lost 100 pounds and maintained that weight for about 3 years. I left a toxic job and lost 20 pounds without trying. It just kind of happened. I started working out 3 to 5 times a week using a stationary bike and then began eating at a calorie deficit. I felt hungry all the time, which led me to consult with a registered dietitian. That was a game changer for me. I learned to find foods that fit into my life. I lost about 60 pounds through improved eating and regular exercise. I underwent jaw surgery to address sleep apnea caused by a recessed jaw. This resulted in an additional loss of 40 pounds. Nowadays, I don't work out as much and I don't track my calories. But I weigh myself occasionally to ensure I'm still doing okay. I also pay attention to how my clothes fit. Story 70. I started my weight loss journey on February 1st when I returned to my hometown. I walked a minimum of 10,000 steps every day and went to the gym 4 times a week. I drank plenty of water, eliminated processed sugar from my diet, consumed a lot of protein, and ensured I got good sleep. As a result, I lost 10 kilograms in 8 weeks. Story 71. No soda or sweets. Switched from regular bread to true organic sourdough. Focus on portion control. It is essentially a caveman diet. Story 72. Balanced meals are important. I count calories and weigh my food. Can be tedious, but I've come to enjoy the routine. I walk a few miles daily and weight train 4 days a week. I am a beginner in that area, but I have seen good results. I have lost 135 pounds, which is approximately 61 kilograms. Story 73. Frequent bowel movements and urination. The notion that weight loss is solely determined by breathing is completely false. Story 74. I lost 66 pounds in a few months, but listen carefully. No rice, no pasta, no dough, no bread, no shawarma, no pizza, no chocolate, no chips, no fast food, and I trained in mixed martial arts every day. Story 75. If I'm being really honest, my wife and I added a third person to the bedroom. I have lost 12 pounds in about 2 weeks and have finally started running again. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.